Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Crowd Share Podcast. Today, we are going to get into our picks for this week for college football. Um, we didn't do last week. I was a bit busy, had a lot going on, and so I was not able to get the videos out like I normally do. I'm also doing this a lot later than normal. We normally have it out way before now, but we've all just been crazy busy as of late, and none of us have really been able to get this stuff out to you guys. So today, we're finally getting that opportunity. And I, of course, in typical fashion, I'm hard pressed on time again, as I do have other stuff that will be going on here soon. So I'm not going to waste a ton of time. I'm just going to get straight into this. And I'll just start with our shockers of the week. And I'll start with myself. Serbenski ended up getting his shocker from last week, which he ended up going with Buffalo over Toledo, and that worked tremendously in his favor as the Buffalo Bulls got the win, giving him a solid lead over the two of us. I'm not looking to try and get a home run hit this week. I am going to Bloomington, Indiana, where I have the Nebraska Cornhuskers handing the Hoosiers their first loss of the season. Nebraska or Indiana has yet to really, I think, play anyone so far this year. I'm not impressed. They're having a nice start to the year, but Nebraska's really the first team I think they've really played. And so, like, real team, I'd say that they played. And so, could be a rough game for them. Maybe not. Either way, I've got Nebraska. I think it's a 6.5 point line. It might have changed since then, but last I looked, it was still at 6.5. Excuse me. Tonight, Serbenski for his shocker, he is going big time for this one. I tried. Whoops, that is not at all what I wanted. Hold on, there we go. But Serbenski is truly going big time for this one. He is going all in for this. He is going to. He has tonight's game of the number two ranked Oregon Ducks, who just came off that huge win over Ohio State just last week. And what hell? I still can't believe Ohio State really blew that game. That was so bad. But he has tonight's game of Purdue and Oregon, and he has the Boilermakers with an enormous upset over second ranked Oregon. Purdue is obviously well known for upsets. They've done several of them before. His theory, I suppose, happens again here. Do I think the odds are high? Honestly, not even close. Just being real, but anything surely is possible. So I will. So he has Purdue, and then Sam. I was debating between two shockers this week. He took the other one. He took the one I was considering before I went with the other one I was considering before I went with the one that I ultimately did, and that's Georgia Tech over Notre Dame. The line what had opened at 11. It has since grown actually to 14 in favor of Notre Dame. Notre Dame is the road team in this one, so it is at Georgia Tech. It's at Bobby Dodd Stadium. Um, I think that should be a really fun game. I think it's anybody's game. Georgia Tech has been pretty good to start the year. Notre Dame has recovered since that Northern Illinois flop, whatever that was. So he has Georgia Tech, and yeah, that's our shockers for this week. So let's move on to our picks for this week, and we start with quite a banger, UCF on the road against Iowa State. I don't think there's really much conversation here. I don't really know if I'm that much of a believer in Iowa State yet, but UCF continues to disappoint every single week. They have not looked good the past few weeks. They continue to look really sloppy and have not really played good football at all. So I do have Iowa State, and of course, so does everybody else. So to start the day, we have a clean sweep in favor of the Cyclones. And next, we have we have an interesting game. We have Oklahoma State going on the road to take on BYU. Similarly, to UCF, Oklahoma State, who had way more expectations than I'd say Iowa State did, has significantly disappointed, and BYU has done the opposite of Oklahoma State, and they have been dynamite. And that will be happening tonight. I'm recording this on Friday night. Sam has BYU. I'm pretty sure Sabensky does too. Yep, they both have BYU, and of course so do I. Oklahoma State has been absolutely terrible this season. They have looked absolutely miserable. Ollie Gordon, has been good, but I mean that's pretty much the only thing they have going for them at the moment. So not a good situation for Oklahoma State. I am going to be taking BYU in this one. And then next, of course, you knew this would be coming. We have Central Michigan going on the road to take on Eastern Michigan. Maybe you guys haven't been on this channel for very long, or maybe you just don't know what the heck we're talking about. But one of the guys who's been on here several times, you may know him. His name's Calvin. You've probably seen him once or twice. You've been here for long enough. Maybe you've heard, maybe you haven't. But he is actually an assistant. He's actually an assistant coach currently at Central Michigan. It's like a assistant recruiting gig or something. Something like that. But he is a coach at Central Michigan, and and he gets to be on the sidelines, and so we we tend to root for the Chippewas at this point, and got a little in-state kind of rivalry here, you could say, Central and Eastern. I'm going to be taking Central. Of course I am. Of course I'm going to pick Calvin's team. Of course I am. Why would I not pick them? I honestly just don't know anything about these two. I'm counting on Calvin. Don't let me down, Calvin. I need a win. It doesn't matter. I don't like I said, I don't know anything about these two teams. I mean, they're always decent MAC teams. I really don't know anything about Central. Yes, I have not asked Calvin what Central is like, although he has told us a little bit. So I'll go with Central. Serbensky, I think, actually took Eastern, and yeah, he took. Okay, well, where all this? Okay, there it is. Yeah, he took Eastern. And then Sam, like me, took Central Michigan. So again, I don't know anything about either one of these two. I'm just going with the team that I know has Calvin on it. Next we have North Texas. Oh, that's right. We have North Texas going on the road. Oh my gosh, it did again. North Texas going on the road to take on Memphis. Both of these teams sitting at 5-1. Starting with Sam's pick here, he has the Memphis Tigers. I believe that is the same for Serbensky. Yes, it is. And I have Memphis too. You can kind of tell that I really just did not have a ton of good games to go with this week. And so I kind of just found whatever I could find and get them on here. These top few games are a little rough, so just so you know. Um, but this is these are two teams that have been solid to start the year. I mean, Memphis's lone loss. Who does their loss come? Oh, I think they lost. Yeah, Navy. Memphis's lone loss. I'm pretty sure is Navy. North Texas. They lost to Texas Tech, I believe. Um, so, I mean, these are two solid teams. They're both, in the American. It's a big game for the American, for everybody else. I'm not really sure anyone else really cares. But Memphis is typically the better program here. North Texas, not sure they really have much defense. It'll probably be a high scoring game, but I'll take the Tigers because I don't know anything about either one of them. The Louisiana, the UL Lafayette, same difference. Going on the road to take on Coastal Carolina. Coastal just got absolutely demolished by James Madison last week. I don't know anything about Louisiana, about UL Lafayette slash Louisiana, whatever you want to call them. Don't know really much of anything about them, but they really Louisiana or Coastal really got absolutely obliterated by JMU. And JMU looks like a decent team, but that was an ugly loss. So I'll go with Louisiana here. Um, Sam and Srebensky both have gone with the Chanticleers to win on the teal field. That is still an interesting look. Still not the blue field, but teal is a very unique color for a field, to say the least. Next, we'll go with the Wisconsin Badgers going on the road to the practice field to take on Northwestern because that's what their home field is at the moment. Currently, they have Ryan Field being built. Um, at the site of their old stadium, they tore it down. They're building a new one. Well, while they're building a new one, they kind of have to have a stadium for the time being, and that is their practice field. So they got some like temporary seating and whatever else, and they kind of threw that all together. It's actually like a unique. It's actually a unique setting as much as it is a practice field. It actually is kind of cool to see the lake because it's literally right off of Lake Michigan, so it actually kind of looks neat. But it's a practice field, and but nonetheless, starting with Sam's pick here, we have him taking the Wisconsin Badgers, and I would assume that Serbenski isn't going to do anything differently. Yeah, we all have Wisconsin here. Yeah, I'm taking Wisconsin too. Spoiler alert. Uh, the Northwestern has not looked good this year. They're not a good team. It's a new head coach. It's just not good vibes in general. So I got Wisconsin. As you can tell, I was struggling to find games up at the top there. Now is when it starts to get slightly more interesting. Now we have Colorado. We have 4-2 the Colorado Buffaloes going on the road to take on the Arizona Wildcats. Colorado doesn't have any defense. Arizona, I think, is significantly underperforming. I think they're a solid team. They're at home. Colorado's on the road. I don't really care for Colorado's team in general. They just don't play defense. Um, and so I think I like Noah Fafita a lot. I think he'll be really good in this game. He'll get Arizona to a nice win and kind of get them back above 500. As for Sam and Srebensky, Sam, well, actually, I think it's Srebensky who goes first. Oh, okay, nope, it's the same thing. They both actually have Colorado. So I don't know if they think, well, I don't know. They both have the Buffaloes. Maybe there's somebody hurt and I just don't know. But Sam and Sermensky both taking Colorado in this one. Next, we have the Virginia Cavaliers going on the road to take on 10th ranked Clemson. Clemson has looked like a completely different team uh, ever since uh, ever since the Georgia game. That's what I was trying to spit. As I was trying to think of. Ever since the Georgia game, Sam and Sermensky both have the Clemson Tigers taking this one, and so do I. So we have a clean sweep here. As I was mentioning, Clemson does not look like the same team that got throttled by Georgia. They look way better than that. They've been much sharper than that. The offense has honestly been clicking a bit. The defense has been looking a bit sharper. Everything for Clemson just seemingly looks much, much better than it did before. And I currently have 5-1. There's not really, I think, a ton of teams that are really that good that are left on their schedule anymore because just no one in the ACC is really all that good, unless they're playing Pitt. But I don't know if Pitt's really all that special either. But Clemson, I think they can. I think they knock off Virginia, especially at home. Virginia looks a lot better than they have been the past few years, but they're not better than Clemson. That this should be an easy one for the Tigers. Next, we're gonna head over to what will be a Pac-12 matchup, actually, and UNLV going on the road to take on Oregon State. Probably UNLV's toughest challenge since the Syracuse game, but I am going to go with UNLV. Oregon State, I mean, their entire team. I mean, they're a solid team, but the grand majority of their good players all were taken by the big schools after they basically lost their entire conference. So It should be an interesting one. It's on the road, so Oregon State certainly has a shot, but I'm going to go with UNLV to win this one. As for Sam and Zerbensky, um, yep, okay, so clean sweep in favor of UNLV. Next we go to Gainesville, where we have the Kentucky Wildcats going on the road to take on the Florida Gators. Sam is our first one here for this, and he has the Kentucky Wildcats. I think, I'm not sure on this. I think that's what I saw earlier. Let me just make sure before I put it in. Whoops, that's not what I said. And yeah, so Serbansky is taking Florida. I think he's taken actually Florida in every single game this year. Like every time we've actually had like a game with which Florida's in it, he's picked Florida every time. So big time Gator guy, I suppose. I am not taking Florida though. I am taking Kentucky in this one. Florida's a dumpster fire. I'm sorry. It is going to get so much worse unless they fire um whatever his name is, the Florida head coach. It's Billy Napier. There we go. Unless they fire Billy Napier, it's only going to keep getting worse for Florida. And Kentucky has been, sure, has been all over the place. I mean, we saw him put up a fight with Georgia. We saw him nearly beat Georgia. We saw him actually beat Ole Miss. And then we saw him get trounced by South Carolina at home. So who knows what Kentucky team will show up? But but I'm more interested. I'm more, trustworthy, or there we go. Now I came up with the right sentence. I'm more trusting in Kentucky's ability to actually play well than Florida's ability to play poorly. That still didn't come out right. I like Kentucky better. Let's go with that. Next we have South Carolina going on the road to take on the Oklahoma Sooners, who are coming off an absolute drubbing at the hands of their arch rivals of Texas, who look like arguably the most dominant team in football right now. But I am taking Oklahoma to bounce back here. I think they're a solid team. I don't think they're great, but I think they're certainly better than South Carolina. And the Gamecocks have not shown me anything. I'm not big into South Carolina. Not really big into Oklahoma necessarily either, but I do like Oklahoma's team a bit better than I do South Carolina's. So I will take Oklahoma to take this one. Serbensky, he is going to go the opposite way of me. He is going to be taking South Carolina to win on the road, win in Norman, and get the win over the Sooners of OU. As for Sam, he is sticking with me. He is going to go with Oklahoma to get the win over South Carolina. Next, we have Arizona State going on the road to take on Cincinnati. This is another tough one. Sam is going to be going with Arizona State, so he is going to be taking the Sun Devils on the road in Cincy. I'm sure that Serbinsky is probably going to do that too. Yeah. He has Arizona State with the win as well. He has his Sun Devils getting it. And as for me, this should be a tight contest. Arizona State, obviously, off to a solid start, honestly. Both of these teams off to uh, really solid starts. Arizona State and Cincinnati, really, well, mostly Arizona State. But even Cincinnati, still an impressive start for them. I'm not sure anyone really expected them to be this good this quick. Um, but as for Cincinnati, it's tough because really Arizona State hasn't really played anyone. I mean, when you look at the teams that they've beat, I mean, other than Utah last week, that was like their first actual good win of the season. They've barely skated by really every single team that they played. Utah was the first team that they actually really beat, and then Cincinnati. I mean, they nearly had the win over Pitt. They've had some other close wins too, but I'm liking the home team in this one. I'm going Cincinnati. It's going to be a tight game, and it's really anybody's game. Again, this is another one of those games where I think you just flip a coin, see what happens. But I'll go with Cincinnati. It's really anybody's game. It's gonna be really exciting. It's gonna be really fun. I'm sure it's gonna be a nail biter if you're Swervenski or if you're an Arizona State fan or Cincinnati fan. It'll be a nail biter for sure. But I am going to go with Cincinnati to take this one. Next, we have Kansas State going on the road to take on West Virginia. I've taken West Virginia enough times to know they're not going to do it. I've tried to give West Virginia the benefit of the doubt, give them an upset win over somebody, and they just won't do it. And I don't, I you know, it didn't happen then. It's not going to happen now. So I'll take Kansas State. I've taken West Virginia. I've taken them for an upset one too many times. They burned me too many times. I'm done taking them. I'll pick against them. I was thinking that they would maybe get one of them because Kansas State they've taken a couple out. They've taken a couple over the years. They've taken some interesting L's, or you go to BYU and get absolutely smashed. So I thought maybe, but I'm like they've taken me out so many times. I'm done with them. So I'm going with West Virginia. Or I'm sorry, I'm going with No, I am going with Kansas State. I'm not going West Virginia. I'm going Kansas State here. Serbenski's also going to go Kansas State, and as will Sam. So clean sweep in favor of the 17th ranked Wildcats. Next, we have Notre Dame going on the road to take on Georgia Tech. Sam's shocker for this week, and he is sticking with his shocker. He is going to be taking Georgia Tech to get the win at home and get another upset over Notre Dame. To be Notre Dame's second upset of the year. Stravinsky is going to stick with the Irish. He is going to stick with Notre Dame to hold strong and escape out of Atlanta. Like I said earlier, this is one I was considering for a shocker. It's a tough pick, but I am going to go with Notre Dame. It is going to be very tough. Georgia Tech kind of plays a little bit like Army and Navy to a certain extent. They like to run the ball a lot, and so they kind of play like those two teams. But Notre Dame has a lot of experience playing teams like that because they play Army and Navy all the time. So I'm not sure how effective it's going to be. Georgia Tech can do more than just running the ball, though. It's not like Haynes King can just run, he can throw as well. So it's going to be tight. It's going to be a fun one, but I am going to go with the Irish to sneak out of it. Next, we have LSU going on the road to take on Arkansas. What a huge win for LSU last week. Getting that over Ole Miss at home in overtime. Absolutely enormous win for the Tigers. And I think it'll be really tight in Arkansas, but I am going to go with LSU just barely. I think it's going to come down to the wire. We already saw Arkansas do it once this year, which is why I think that LSU will probably be prepared for a tight game. But I think it's still going to come all the way down the wire. It's going to be a really close one, really interesting game. I am going to go with LSU though by a very small margin. Serbenski is going to do the same thing as me. He's got LSU, and then so does Sam. So we all have LSU taking this one. Next, we have Nebraska on the road against Indiana. And I was mentioning this earlier as this is my shocker. But what a start to the year for Indiana. Really, both of them, but specifically for Indiana there's not a single person on this planet that really expected the Indiana Hoosiers to be 6-0 by the time week 8 rolled around and 16th in the country. I guarantee you no one saw that coming. And as for Nebraska, I mean, what a season for them. I mean, one loss, had a really tough, heartbreaking loss at home against Illinois. I mean, really tough game. Illinois has been a really good team this year. We'll be getting to them in a minute, but really good team that they end up losing to, but still 5-1. Really good start to the year. I mean, this is actually a surprisingly really good game. And honestly, the last time that Nebraska and Indiana football played each other and it meant something is probably the first. And so Sam is going to be taking Nebraska in this one. He has the Nebraska Cornhuskers. As for Serbenski, he is actually going to go with the Indiana Hoosiers. He has the streak for Indiana continuing. So he'll go with the Hoosiers to go to 7-0. That would be absolutely crazy if that happened. And this is a truly a flip a coin type game, but I think Dylan Raiola's got a little bit more. I mean, I picked it as my shocker. I'm picking it here too. I just like Nebraska's team a little bit better. Similarly to kind of Arizona State, like I was saying earlier, Indiana has not played anyone at all. I mean, they don't even have like a Utah on their schedule. They ended up beating. They have no one. Nebraska, Indiana has not really played anyone this year. They played a lot of not great teams, and they've beaten most of them. I mean, not all of them. I mean, it's not like they, were tight and, it was like they almost lost to some of them. For the most part, they took care of business, but it's still like they have yet to really play anyone to the caliber. Well, they actually did have some closer games, but like they won every single game by 14 or more. So I mean, they have taken care of business for the most part, but they have yet to play anybody that's Nebraska's caliber. So we'll see how this goes. This is definitely a true test for Indiana to see how good they really actually are. But I am going to stick with Nebraska in this one. Gonna be a fun game. Next, we have the Miami Hurricanes going on the road to take on the Louisville Cardinals. Louisville's had a couple lousy weeks here lately. It's not been that sharp for them. Miami, on the other hand, has been absolutely dynamite to start this season. I don't see why it would suddenly change now. Louisville, I think, is not. Louisville's in a bit of a funk right now, and at home against a big time team could be, a way, could be a way to get them going again. But I think Miami's just too good in general. Cam Ward is on a mission right now. The guy is looking absolutely dominant. I don't see it really happening. So I'm going to go with Miami. Serbenski, who he used to never hit, he was like, he always used to hate picking Miami, but he is going to be taking the Hurricanes. And then Sam, he is also going to go with Miami, Florida. So clean sweep in favor of the Hurricanes. Don't like that. And then next, so these last three games here will be all ranked versus ranked matchups, and this one is going to be a snooze fest. We have the 24th ranked somehow Michigan Wolverines going on the road to take on 22nd ranked Illinois. Illinois is going to have some hideous jerseys that they're wearing for this game. I don't know what they were thinking. It looks like a World War II uniform. It doesn't look good, but they are going to be wearing that. This will be a 3:30 CBS game. Sam and Serbensky both actually are going to stick with the Wolverines. They are going to be taking. They both are going to be taking Michigan in this one. They think that the Wolverines will get it done in Champaign. Yeah, no, I cannot take this Michigan team. I like Illinois to win this one. The specialty of this Illinois team is their ability to throw the football. Luke Altmaier has been very good this season, and Michigan has a serious problem covering anybody with any corner on their entire team not named Will Johnson. Our entire secondary behind him sucks. We have nobody else. And if Illinois is able to exploit whoever Will Johnson isn't covering, then Michigan's in trouble. And it could get ugly very fast. Because obviously everybody knows Michigan can't do anything other than run the ball on offense. So I don't really know how this could be a rough game. I got Illinois winning this one just because of their ability to be able to throw, which we don't have anyone other than Will Johnson that can carry anyone's jockstrap. So I like Illinois to win this one and get the win at home and continue a really nice season for them. Next, we have two great SEC games. We have Alabama going on the road taking on Tennessee. Both of these teams had some really uh, crazy upsets a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. with Tennessee's what was just a simple upset. It happens. But Alabama, uh, yeah, they lost to Vandy, which came out of absolutely nowhere. I'm sure I don't think anyone really thought that the Crimson Tide of all teams would end up losing to the Commodores. I mean, they are. I mean, Virginia Tech did it earlier in the year, but no one really would be thinking, yeah, they'll probably lose. If you were to tell me that when they beat Virginia Tech, that wouldn't be their only upset of the year, I'd be like, you're crazy. And then you'd say it'd be Bama. I'd be like, yeah, you're nuts. But here we are, and Bama's still at number 7. Neither one, Bama. I still like Bama in this one, especially because in the last 2 weeks now, Tennessee's offense has completely disappeared. They have not been sharp. They have not looked good. And the offense has been really sloppy. So unless that offense suddenly shows up again at home against Bama, it's gonna be a rough game for them. So I got Roll Tide, uh, trying to get themselves back on track after whatever happened in I think it's Nashville. Yeah, and whatever happened in Nashville. And then Tennessee or Sam Serbenski, there we go. Serbenski has Alabama in this one, and so does Sam. So we all have clean sweep in favor of the Crimson Tide. And then our game of the week, we have another great one this week. Last week we had we had Ohio State, Oregon, which was absolutely incredible. That was a great game. Of course, it ended hilariously. And now we got another great one. We have Georgia going on the road to take on Texas. Sam and Trubinsky both are taking Texas in this one. This should be a really good game. Georgia, of course, their one loss was that crazy one with Alabama earlier in the season where they're down 28 to nothing, somehow came all the way back to take a lead at 34. Was it 33? I think so. Yeah, I think it was 34, 33. Somehow came all the way back to take a lead for a short period of time, only to give up another big time pass to whoops. Oh, I did too many times. Um, Only to give up a big time pass to Ryan Williams. And that ended up obviously basically sinking Georgia. But they came all the way back in that game. Really impressive. This is going to be another great game. These are two very good teams. I think, two really good teams. Texas for sure. I mean, this is, I think, the big game for Texas. I mean, last week, you went and played Oklahoma. Like, okay, that's great. You beat your big rival, and you honestly pretty much stomped them. Like, that's good to see. You stomped Michigan earlier in the year in the Big House. Good to see. Now you have another big one against a team that is also a really big time team. Texas so far, they have proved that they can beat anyone and everyone. I mean, they went to the big house, even though Michigan sucks. They went to the big house and they smoked the Wolverines. They had a big time rivalry game in Red River against Oklahoma. They stomped Oklahoma. Like, Texas has been dynamite all season long. They have shown absolutely no reason why they can't continue what they're doing. And so, really, my attitude at this point with Texas is until someone can show me that they actually can beat them, until someone shows me they can beat them, I'm not picking against them right now. So I'm going to go Texas. I like what I see. They were missing a lot of running backs to start the year, which was why I figured it would be a little tough for them. But it hasn't really mattered. They've been able to throw the ball, and been really good all season. And their defense has been really sharp as well. So overall, Texas has been dynamite. I think they're the best team currently in the country at the moment, with how everybody else is playing. This is another big game for them, but give me the Longhorns in this one. I mean, another big time loss, another prime time loss for Kirby Smart, unfortunately for him. But I got Texas, and yeah, that's all we got for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll hopefully be able to get our picks back in like normally on time. Maybe I get somebody else with me. Kind of below if you want us to get a guest back on here. I know it's been a bit since we had Brandon on here. Maybe we can get somebody else this time. or get him again. Who knows? But let me know, and well, I'll see you on the next video. So until then, adios, everybody.